The cold hard truth is, there is nowhere you can go to escape this. If the US crashes and burns, which it's going to, it will affect everybody. Like, there's the US stock market, but there's also a stock market based out of Japan. But if the US stock market tanks, it affects all the other stock markets around the world. If the US dollar tanks, it will affect every other country around the world. There is nowhere to go that is safe. Essentially, what is happening is the US is that dramatic friend that everybody decides is kind of getting voted off the island. So everybody was in group text A, and now everybody but one is in group text B. They still occasionally text in group text A, just to make it seem like they're not voting somebody off the island. But eventually everybody stops texting in group text A and just stays in group text B. That is what other countries are doing right now. Canada and other countries are not only boycotting American products, they are renegotiating trade deals with other countries. Canada will never again be caught in a situation where half of their everything is going to the US. Canadians are really great at once you piss us off, we stay eternally pissed. But we're not the only country like that. Every other country is going to find a new trade agreement, not with the US, because they don't want to be here again. You are the unstable friend who cannot figure out how to handle their shit. We're really tired of coming to bail you out at 3 a.m. So it will take a few years, but the rest of the world will settle out because it will just refinagle its supply chains. And while the firm belief is well, if America's independent, we'll just use our own resources. A great example of that is there's an aluminum company in the US. Great, American aluminum. Their smelting facilities are in Canada. You have aluminum that hasn't been processed. We have the machines that process it. So this aluminum company in the US is yeah, we're going to have to sell up and close out because, we can't pay 25% and 25%. It's a 50% increase in our product. Nobody can afford it. There will be a massive pain point in the US, but it will be felt globally. So well, why don't you run home to Canada? Because Canada will be just as screwed. But it's not just financially. The US has rolled back regulations for clean air, clean water, clean soil, health regulations. Dysentery outbreak, that's just the start of it. That boar's head, liverwurst, and whatever deli meat that poisoned everybody last summer? That's going to happen again and again and again because we've stopped checking into food companies. We've stopped checking. It's on them now. Whoops, did this kill you? That's a you problem, not an us problem. Does your water have fecal matter? You were trying to lose a little weight, so you've been pooping your brains out for days. You're welcome for that 5-pound weight loss. Brought to you by Public Water. But when that train in East Palestine fell over and set on fire and they promised us that those chemicals were totally cleaned up, yet you could smell the burning chemicals in Canada? If the US fucks up the air, the soil, the water, that water goes places, that air blows places, that soil infects other things. America's bird flu problem becomes Canada's bird flu problem when one bird crosses the border and poops on the other side of the border. Already, British Columbia has a measles outbreak. Canada has bird flu. They're managing it. The way the US isn't, they're managing it. If I was a celebrity or a 1%er that could run from Trump, honestly, Rosie O'Donnell was not stupid for going to Ireland. Besides the fact that, that's her homeland. Ireland is one of those stubborn-ass countries that, tells it like it is. The first country to step up and be yo, Israel, Gaza, we know what you're doing, fucking murderers. Ireland has a long history of understanding what side of the things to be on. But all countries would bow to US political pressure. Ireland might put up a fight, but if Trump decides to invade Ireland to go get Rosie O'Donnell, there's nothing that would really stop him. Already this week, he ignored federal judges. He has already threatened Greenland. Well, we do have a base there, so maybe we'll just send all of our military to Greenland. I kid. Pete, don't say anything. So I'd like to say there is some country oh, we'll go to Bali. I don't think there's a country on Earth that if the US didn't lean on it and be we wouldn't have a problem nuking you, wouldn't kind of do what needs to be done. There are countries that hate America, but you probably wouldn't want to go to live in them as Americans right now. So, Yemen, Iran, there is no really great place to go. Not the US is better than the US right now. Mexico would probably put up at least a little bit of a fight, but also remember that Americans have been obnoxious while traveling around the globe for years. There is a built up resistance to Americans in most countries. Is why can't I get a bagel? We have these croissants. They are delicious. I want a bagel. I want a McDonald's bagel. Why can't I get a bagel? There are a lot of Americans who are trying to get out of the US, but something like 87% of Americans don't have a passport, so the 1%ers are fleeing. I have a feeling in the next year, a lot of people with citizenship, dual citizenship, who can leave, or who through medical training, science training, even teachers, a lot of countries have citizenship paths for them, express citizenship paths, like, hey, we need your skills, come here. I have a feeling a lot of talent is going to leave the US, and that's when it's going to get really dangerous, because then there will be like the enemies of the US. You stole all our smart people, bring them back. I put up a post last night that something like, if you add it all up, something like 40% of the healthcare industry has some kind of a citizenship status. You know, H-1B, J-1, green card. That's a lot of people who are actively looking into how to go home, get out, not be here. But to be honest, is there anywhere safe to go? No, because Donald's the kind of guy who would send tanks into Mexico to prove a point. Would it be starting a war? Yeah. Would he see it that way? No. You know, in if it means the difference of like I can save the entire country of Ireland if I just give you Rosie O'Donnell, I think a lot of countries would make that deal. Like a couple million citizens for one person. We'll send her back. I think the Irish are some of the least likely to do it, but in the face of Trump and the harm Trump could do, because he does seem the kind of guy who's dumb enough to set off a nuke and not realize what like the radiation winds would be like. There is nowhere safe. There's just, you know, the buffer, like the people who are currently, you know, stocking up on beans and whatever because they've seen the reality of what's going to happen when those crops don't get planted or picked, that know a dust bowl is in our future. They especially know there's nowhere safe to run. We're all going to have to just survive somehow. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but there is no safe place. There's just like as comfortable as I can make it temporarily. I mean, I guess the safest place would be somewhere in the middle of the ocean where it would be a bit harder to find you, but Elon and his drone.